All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're unpacking a case that has absolutely rocked Nepal's business world. We're talking about a massive business titan, some really sketchy-looking stock trades, and, get this, a single digital breadcrumb trail that could unravel the whole thing.
So yeah, a business titan gets arrested. But why? That's the real question, right? We're not just going to look at what happened, but who is at the center of this and how it all went down. And to do that, we need to dive deep into the nitty-gritty of the stock market.
And look, this isn't just any arrest. This is Golchaa. We're talking about a household name in Nepali business, a key figure in the Golchaa organization, and the former boss of the FNNCI. I mean, that's Nepal's biggest private sector group. This is a huge deal. So on Baishak 10, the Central Investigation Bureau makes its move. They detain Golchaa, and the charges are serious. We're talking major violations of the Securities Act. And this wasn't random. It all started with a red flag from the Securities Board, the market cops. They saw something fishy in the trades and started pointing fingers.
Okay, so let's get into the how. How did this whole thing supposedly work? To understand that, we've got to become detectives and follow the money. Or in this case, the data. And the story begins in a really quiet, kind of boring corner of the market.
So check this out. We're looking at something called a debenture. Don't worry, it's basically just a corporate IOU. You lend a company money, they promise to pay you back. And usually, trading for these things is, well, it's dead. On a normal day, you might see 10 units traded, maybe 40 or 50 if things get wild. It's super, super quiet.
And then, this happened. That quiet, sleepy, predictable pattern? Yeah, it was about to get blown to smithereens. Something so loud, regulators had no choice but to sit up and take notice.
Bam! Look at this. Out of absolutely nowhere, on November 9th, 100,000 units get traded. 100,000. Then a week later, it happens again. This isn't just a little weird. It's practically impossible for this to happen naturally. And that crazy volume jacked up the price by almost 10% in one day.
So, you're probably wondering, how on earth do you even do that? How do you create this giant fake surge in the market? Well, investigators believe they found the answer, and it's a classic trick from the market manipulator's playbook.
The alleged scheme is something called circular trading. You can think of it like this. It's buying something from your left pocket and selling it to your right pocket for a higher price. You're creating this fake buzz, this illusion of tons of buying and selling to trick the market into thinking something is super valuable. But really, it's just you.
So here's how they say it went down, step by step. The main operator, a guy named Bhatta, would allegedly use one of his companies to buy these debentures cheap. Step 1. Then, he'd just turn around and sell those exact same debentures to other companies he also controlled. But, and here's the kicker, at a much, much higher price. He was literally just passing money between his own entities and creating a profit out of thin air.
And was it profitable? Oh, you bet. Just from the Nabil debenture trades, the scheme pulled in over 1.12 crore rupees.
But that was just the start. They allegedly did the same thing with another debenture, and that time, they walked away with a massive 6.56 crore. The cash was just piling up.
Okay, but how do you prove it? Well, here's the smoking gun, the digital trail. Investigators from the Securities Board found that every single trade from all those different companies, both the buying and the selling, was all done from one single digital device. One computer, one person basically playing puppet master with the market.
Right, so it sounds like this Dipik Bhatta guy was the one clicking the buttons. So the big question is, where does a titan like Golchaa come in? He wasn't the one physically making the trades, so what's the connection?
Well, it all comes back to the money. Investigators found that Golchaa had moved a huge amount of cash, we're talking 52.5 crore rupees, into the very same brokerage firm that was handling all these shady trades. But here's the really weird part. He didn't actually buy any shares for himself with that money. It just sat there. Okay, this table makes it a bit clearer. On the left, you've got the creditors, people who gave money to the brokerage. You see Golchaa's name right there. On the right, you have the debtors, people who owed the brokerage money, including the main trader, Deepak Bhatta. So the allegation is pretty simple. Golchaa's massive pile of cash was allegedly used as the fuel for Bhatta's trading engine, allowing the brokerage to bankroll the whole operation.
And if that wasn't enough, there's one more piece to this puzzle. At the very time all this was happening, Golchaa was also the chairman of Himalayan Reinsurance. Yep, the exact same company whose debentures were being used in this whole scheme. That, for investigators, is a major, major connection.
So, with all that laid out, what happens now? Let's talk about the legal side of things. The accusations aren't vague. They point to specific violations of Nepal's Securities Act.
And we're not talking about a slap on the wrist here. The charges include things like false trading, which is basically faking market activity, matching buy and sell orders, that's the whole circular trading thing, creating artificial price fluctuations, and the big one, fraudulent trading. It's a whole list of serious market manipulation charges.
So, what are the stakes? Well, they're pretty high. If they're convicted, we're looking at some hefty fines, but also potential prison time, up to 2 years for the fraud charge alone. And for someone of his standing, either one of those would be absolutely earth-shattering.
Okay, so this whole thing is bigger than just one case. The arrest of such a major player has kicked off a massive debate in Nepal. And it's not just about stocks and trades anymore. It's about the entire future of doing business in the country.
You can really feel the tension in this sentiment from the business community. They're basically saying, hey, investigate us, ask us questions, that's fine, but don't just arrest us like this. The fear is that if top business leaders can be detained this way, it'll create a chilling effect, scaring away investors and hurting the whole economy.
And that really gets to the heart of the problem, doesn't it? It leaves us with this huge, tough question. For a growing economy like Nepal's, where do you draw the line? How do you hold people accountable and keep your markets clean without terrifying the very investors and business builders you need to grow? There's no simple answer here, and whatever happens in this case, you can be sure it's going to send a powerful message about the future of business in Nepal.